Hey, this is Warhammer Sean, and I'm continuing the discussion of Codex Eldar Craftworlds. So today we're going to do the final installation of the Eldar Craftworld Codex review discussion. We're going to do Lords of War, and then we're going to kind of wrap it up and do final thoughts. So there's two Lords of War in this Codex. Now, Escalation introduced the Revenant Titan, but the Revenant Titan is not in here. But what they did do is they took two of the, basically one HQ and one of the heavy supports, and moved them into Lords of War. The first one is the Wraith Knight, which went up 50 points, or 55 points, sorry. It's 295 points. He's weapon skill, ballistic skill 4, strength 10, toughness 8, 6 wounds, initiative 5, 4 attacks, leadership 10, 3+ save. He comes with 2 heavy wraith cannons, which are now D weapons. And he is affected by Ancient Doom. He may exchange both his heavy wraith cannons for a Ghost Glaive and Scatter Shield for free, so there's no points for the upgrade this time. And the Sword of Vol, if this model is equipped with a Ghost Glaive, the Ghost Glaive strength is increased to D, basically. And then the other variant is a Sun Cannon and Scatter Shield, and that's also a free upgrade. Now, you may take up to 2 of the following in any combination: Scatter Laser for 15 points, Shuriken Cannon for 15 points, and Star Cannon for 20 points. Now, in this edition, before, and even with the Wraith Lord, they have the ability to have multiple weapons, and they could only fire 2 because they were monstrous creatures, so you can only fire 2 weapons per shooting phase, or Overwatch. And it never made sense to me, because they could have more than 2 weapons, and yet a Riptide can only have 2 weapons for Tau, but he could potentially fire, because he's a monstrous creature, could fire 2 weapons, plus his suit allowed him to fire an extra weapon, so he could have fired 3 weapons, but he could only have 2. It didn't make a lot of sense. Now, at least with the Wraith Knight now, he's a gargantuan creature, so any weapon you give him, he can fire, and he can choose a separate target for each of his weapons. Remember, he's a gargantuan creature now, so he can do that. I think making the Ghost Glaive D is fine. I don't think most people are going to have a problem with that. It's similar to the Imperial Knight, except at Initiative 5. Now, the 2 heavy Wraith Cannons are, I think, what people are flipping out about. Now, originally it was Strength 10, and on a roll of a 6 it caused instant death, or a pen if it didn't normally cause a pen. Now, the D this time is a 1 does nothing, and then 2 through 5 to a vehicle does D3 hull points, and a 6 does D6 hull points. Or D6 penetrating hits. And then with basically living things, if you roll a 6, it's instant death, or basically the model's removed from play. And 2 through 5, you suffer, each model suffers D3 wounds, but they do get their invuln save if they have one. So, as far as the variants, like last edition, I did run the Sun Cannon and Scatter Shield with a Scatter Laser, because the Scatter Laser would twin link the Sun Cannon, so it was really nice because it got 3 shots and they were twin linked. I don't think you're going to see the Sun Cannon variant that much anymore. It's funny because that's the picture they put in the Codex, but I don't think that variation's that good anymore, and that reliable. I think most people are either going to run the 2 heavy Wraith Cannons, or I think another viable option now is the Ghost Glaive and Scatter Shield, honestly. If you want to spend the points, you could put Scatter Lasers or Star Cannons on them for shooting if you wanted to, although some people will probably run them naked. I don't know, I might try different ones. If I do one, I'd probably do the Shuriken Cannon, the potential for Blade Storm, or probably more likely the Star Cannon, although that's another 40 points, so now you've got a model that costs like 335 points, so it gets kind of pricey. The thing I think people need to realize, it is a jump gargantuan creature, which is so it doesn't have to roll. It just ignores. It just jumps from terrain to terrain. What are the benefits with Wraith Knight now? With being a gargantuan creature, it's immune to instant death. It loses D3 wounds instead. On poison shots, which used to wound it on a 4, now wound it on a 6+, unless there's special weapons that do other things. And then the other thing is that it can fire at different targets when it shoots. It also has the stomp ability now and can't be stomped. And then it can't fire Overwatch because it's a gargantuan creature. Gargantuan creatures can't fire Overwatch. I still think it's a fair points increase. I originally thought it should have been more points, but after talking to a few people, I think for the 3+ save and no invulnerable save, and I think it still can die fairly easily. I think that it's at a fair price, and people might disagree with me. I played a game just last Wednesday or a few nights ago, and I didn't even get a chance to really shoot mine. I had took one Wraith Knight in my list, and grav guns just basically took it down before it could do anything. So I think they die pretty easily. I saw another game where they were playing Eldar on Eldar, and the Warp Spiders actually jumped near it and shot it, and Warp Spiders now wound for their strength of their weapon, which is 6, versus basically the creature's initiative, which Wraith Knight's 5. So they're still wounding on 3s, and so he did enough rends and wounds that it actually killed the Wraith Knight just from a squad of Warp Spiders. So there are things that can still kill it. Of course, other D weapons as well, or high strength things. So I think it's killable. I don't know. I mean, I think you may see multiple of them out there. Time's going to tell as far as what the meta is going to be. But I honestly think your points might be better off invested in other things, especially if you play a lot of Maelstrom in tournaments, because you've got a lot of points in something that can only move so far, whereas if you had multiple units in place of that one big unit, you have more potential to capture Maelstrom points. So that's the Wraith Knight. The next Lord of War is the Avatar of Cain. I'm not exactly sure why they made the Avatar of Cain a Lord of War. I mean, I guess I kind of get it. He's supposed to be the embodiment of a part of their god of old, but they didn't really. They left him pretty much the same, although he can't take Exarch powers now, which he was able to do again this last edition. But this current edition he can't. He's got a molten body, so he's immune to Melta, Soul Blaze, or Flamer attacks. He's also immune to all Pyromancy psychic powers, which that's new that they put that in there, which it makes sense. The Avatar are no friendly units with Eldar. Faction within 12 inches of the Avatar have the Fearless, Furious Charge, and Rage special rules. Now, before they always had Fearless, but Furious Charge and Rage is a real thing. It's significant. He's a demon. He has Fleet, Battle Focus, and Ancient Doom. His weapon skill and both skill are 10. His strength is 6, toughness 6, 5 wounds, initiative 10, 5 attacks, leadership 10, and 3+ save. So he's only got a 5-up invulnerable save, which changed last edition. The editions before that he had a 4+ invuln, but now he's just treated as a demon. He has a 5+ invulnerable save. His Wailing Doom has a range 12-inch, strength 8, AP 1, assault 1, Melta. And in melee it's +2 strength, AP 1, melee, and then armor bane. So he's basically hitting at strength 8, and it's got armor bane, so it gets to roll 2d6 for penetration, which is good. I think the thing that hurts him the most or makes him suffer the most is he's slow. He's a monstrous creature. That's a character, so he can be challenged. I'm not sure if he was a character last time or not. I think he was. But he's so slow moving across the field, so I think it makes it difficult unless you're going to build a whole army of like guardians or something, kind of mass moving up with him. So kind of a horde type build, which you could do, but I don't think it's going to be that competitive. He's 195 points, so cheaper by 100 than the Wraith Knight, but honestly, I think the Wraith Knight's still better than the Avatar Arcane, and I don't think you're going to see him as much as you will Wraith Knight. So that's the two Lord of Wars that are in this book. I think time still needs to, we still need a little time and play testing before we know or judge how good this codex is. I think it's very solid. I think it's a good codex. I think all things in this codex, many things got better. The Wave Serpent got nerfed a little bit, which I think is fine. I think the Serpent Shield was a little too powerful last edition. The only thing I'm a little disappointed in with that is I was hoping they were going to keep, because the whole shtick, and way back when Armorcast made the models, they could fire the Serpent Shield. But then it went away after that, and it didn't come back until 6th edition. But they always had the ability, the Wave Serpents were always very survivable, and they had methods or rules that made it harder for them to pen, and nothing was ever stronger than an 8 in like 4th edition. But 5th edition, the Serpent Shield made things that where pens go down to glances on 2+. Same thing is true in this edition, although the drawback is that once you fire your Serpent Shield, which you can only do once, which I'm totally fine with and fair. I would have been fair with not even being able to shoot it, but now that ability, the Serpent Shield's ability, is just gone. So as soon as you fire it, that ability to make a pen a glance is gone. And I kind of wish, I'm fine with it not being able to work on the turn that you fire it, but I would think that you would get it back after that. But not the end of the world, but I'm a little disappointed they did that. The only other things in the Codex, I'm a little disappointed with the Dire Avengers having to choose Ballistic Skill 2 for Overwatch or get Counterattack and Stubborn and then not get an Overwatch because they had Counterattack before. So I'm a little disappointed that you have to choose that. Yes, it's got buffs with Ballistic Skill 2. I'm not complaining about that. I just would almost rather had it the way it was before. But it is what it is. I can't complain. Majority of this Codex is better in every way. Most of the vehicles, like the Fire Prism and the Shadow Weaver and the Falcon, stayed pretty similar. There's some special abilities with the Shadow Weaver now as a group that makes it more viable with strength increase, and the Falcons with 3 of them being able to deep strike and not miss it. Mishap is good too. I still don't think you're going to see them that often, but you might. Overall, I think the Codex is solid. Is it necessarily the best one? I think right now it's probably, one of the more powerful ones, especially with having access to a lot of D weapons. I may not be popular, or I guess people may not agree with me, but I still think, and this isn't a slight on the Eldar Codex, but I still think that the Necron Codex, as far as unit to unit, and the way the Dicurian detachment works, I still think that is probably one of the best codices out there right now, is the Necron Codex. Not to say it's the most powerful, but because it's not necessarily like shooty destruction powerful, the Necron Codex, but where its power lays, it's so resilient to being killed. Like, everything's so resilient to being killed. If you run the Dicurian detachment and things have the reanimation protocols, it's so hard to kill everything. And every unit in the Necron Codex, I think, is viably good. Now, potentially you could argue with the Satan shards and such that they're not that great, which they're not. They're not as super as some other units. But the rest of the Codex is pretty solid. Now, the Eldar, same thing could be said. All the units there, I think you could potentially run and be viable. There are some a little, more not as good units, like the Wraith Lord and stuff like that, where you're probably not going to take it. But it's not horrible. But I think in competitive play, you're not going to see that as much. I think, once again, in this codex, I think it's still going to be a very top-tier army. I mean, we'll see what some of the newer codices, when Tau and Space Marines and Dark Angels get redone, what happens with, the power level with this. I think GW, up until Necrons, was kind of keeping a pretty kind of even keel, or, kind of a little bit more blanded codex in 7th edition, and then Necrons, they kind of upped it up a little bit, and now Eldar, they've kind of upped it up more. So my guess is they're going to keep doing this, which is kind of weird. I was kind of hoping they were kind of stay on the same path for all the 7th edition codices, but GW, I mean, it's pretty common with all the, the codex, the codices as they're doing them to kind of come out that way. I mean, in 5th edition, we had, at the end, we had Grey Knights that were just so amazing at the end of 5th edition. 6th edition kind of saw them taper down again. But overall, I think it's a good codex. I think it's going to take a little while before we kind of sort out what's the best or what's good. I think we will see a lot of bikes. I think for spamming, I think we're going to see a lot of Farseers and bikes spammed, as well as Wraith, like either Wraith Knight or Wraith Guards. I kind of at first kind of saw, Fire Dragons as the thing that I would take over the Wraith Guard for the point cost and what they could do. Although after my game, I had 2 squads of Fire Dragons, one that killed an Imperial Knight very easily, and another one that should have made a dent in a Grav Centurion Star with Drago and a Librarian and Tigurius. But unfortunately, with the powers that they had up and they were in ruins, they had Shrouded, so they had a 2-up, a cover save. I just couldn't even make a dent in them, and then the next turn they just, destroyed the squad. If I would have run like a Wraith Guard unit with the scythes, those scythes probably would have wrecked face on that unit, or seriously hurt it. Now the only drawback is with the scythes is this template weapon. If a squad has invisibility, then it's not going to be able to shoot at it, whereas Fire Dragons would be able to, although still they're snap firing, so they're only hitting on 6s. So I think there's a lot of gems in there. I think you will see a lot of Wraith Guard. I used to think that you wouldn't see the scythes as much, but I think you are going to see them. I think you're going to see Fire Dragons. I think Crimson Hunters, at least until Tau gets redone, which is really a strong anti-flyer codex, I think you are going to see the Crimson Hunter, especially the formation with the cover save and stuff. I think you'll see it back. Definitely Farseers. I think you're going to see some of the, Eldar Craftworld main detachment, although I think you're still going to see a lot of CAD, just because some of the benefits from the detachment are good, but there's some things that you have to take that you may not want to spend the points on taking. Vipers and Warwalkers and stuff like that. But overall, I'm fine with the codex. I think it's good. I understand, it's a little earlier than I thought they would have done, and before some of the other ones I would have thought they would have done. But I understand they wanted to get the Harlequins out of there because they have their own codex now, and they're kind of updating it. And maybe they were redoing it to kind of change the Serpent Shield, because they maybe realized the Serpent Shield and the laser lock from Scatter Laser was pretty powerful. Although I don't know if that's the case, because the codex is still, pretty good and pretty powerful even without those things. But hopefully you've enjoyed this series of videos. If you have, please comment below, and let me know if there's something you want to see or a video you want to see, and I can try to accommodate you. Hopefully, if you like it, you'll subscribe, and I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers this year. And if we do, we'll have a giveaway. We're at, I think, 352 right now or something like that, so we're on our way. I did a giveaway at 300. And I gotta make a video for the next giveaway at 500, but I'm hoping to get to 500 by the end of the year, which would be great. Until next time, keep on wargaming.
Goodbye. 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 Bye-bye. Goodbye. See ya. Bye for now. Bye for now. Goodbye. I like bottoms.